let's start looking at the model, because that's the only way that you can understand. So we have a family of 4. They also have a cat and a dog. That's true, I have a cat and a dog. We are trying to buy a new car to be used for carpooling, grocery shopping, and short day trips. And don't even smile, you will get to that point at some point, and you will have to make that decision. What kind of initial concerns we have? Well, without really thinking a lot about the problem, we started saying cost, reliability, and comfort are really big factors. Not the only ones. We'll go to details. And what are 3 choices? I have there Toyota Highlander, Honda Odyssey, and Subaru Outback. Point 1. I did not go through all the websites to find out which ones are the best cars for family. I did ask my friend ChatGPT and Jenny which ones are the best when you have a family of 4 with a cat and a dog. And that was the result. So if you don't like the alternatives, go find it with them. It's not mine. And generally speaking, most of the things that we will see now in the structuring are supported by large language models, just because that's the way to go. You don't need to try and struggle when you can use correctly all these kind of tools that are available. The first thing that you do when you try to set up an AHP model is to find the profile of your alternatives. Okay? The alternatives, in this case, were provided to me. Usually, you'll have already the alternative solutions. For example, if you're solving an optimization model, you might get 1 or 2 perspectives, 2 different setups. These would be your alternative solutions. If you're doing simulations of models, you will have 1, 2, or 3 different models that look pretty good, but you're not sure which way to go. They have similar numerical results, and now you have to find out which one would work better for your company. The same with these 3 cars. I'm really not into cars, so just so you know, that means that for me, I can only tell you that I like better the first one from its style, and that's it. I have no more ideas. So I would need help to decide for sure. Otherwise, we are getting the car that had the best color, which is not the optimal, I'm afraid. So, first way of using a large language model to create profiles. Now, the truth is that I'll show you 2 different types of profiles that I ended up with. The first one is from ChatGPT. And it gives you the characteristics of each of the cars based on the factors that I defined. In other words, you can actually try it if we want to get the profiles of Toyota Highlander, Honda Odyssey, and Subaru Outback with respect to these 4 criteria. What are your suggestions? Or give me the profile for those 4. If you read through it, you will see that it gives you more generic information, not always accurate. Be always mindful of that. It generates information, so it's not a search engine. We cannot use it as a search engine when structuring a model. Now, on the other hand, I have the results of Google's AI for search. And in cases that you're trying to find information like this one that have to do with cars, and cars change, and knowledge about cars changes also very quickly. Well, I bet that you have seen it before, but I'll show you how you cross-check the facts, and you decide at what level you can use or not the information that you were given. And here we are. I can only do it with Gemini. That's why I'm opening Gemini for now. And here we are, choosing your ideal family car. And you see that the initial question was to give me the profile with respect to cost, reliability, comfort, and performance, right? And that's pretty good, but I got greedy while I was working with it, and I said, you know what? You give me a lot of talking about the cost, but I want to know the cost, and I'm terribly not in the mood of going and looking in the websites. Give me the cost as well, which it did. The moment that you start requesting information that has to do with actual data, it's strongly suggested to also do the double checking of your response that is over there. And that's why I prefer, when I'm looking for data, to use Gemini, because ChatGPT does not allow you to do that. And you will see in the highlights, green is information that you can find as it is on websites, giving you a feeling of what you can 100% trust and what was completely generated. So it can be assumed with information that is out there, but there is nobody saying exactly that. So just be careful, the same way that you would be careful when you would put your personal perspective on something, nothing more, nothing less. Now, why would we do it like this? Well, the other way is my family SUV comparison. In the other way, I have more details. You can notice also that it's superior quality of text that gets generated because it is a better language generating model, the ChatGPT. However, you don't have any way of cross-checking your data, and it also doesn't get data that are real-time data. So the more the information that you're seeking is time sensitive, the less you can use this perspective. Now, in this case that I needed to set up the profile, I would say that it's much easier to use this version. That means that produced components from Gemini. Because I was able to get prices. I don't know if you noticed as I was sharing my ChatGPT version, I had, however, ChatGPT help me with judgments and with factors. The factors initially came from ChatGPT. The fact that you see cost, reliability, comfort, and performance is because I started a discussion over here. Saying that I'm trying to find for a family of 4 with a cat and a dog a car. And I got the response, you might want to look into these 3 models. That was ChatGPT. Now, luckily, cars don't get generated. We don't have new car models every week. Otherwise, ChatGPT wouldn't be able to provide me very good information on that. And when I said, these are my initial concerns, what factors would you suggest to use in an AHP environment? I got all the help that I might want and some more. And I'll show you the original one. And you see my prompt to get those 3 cars. I'm kind of in very friendly terms with my ChatGPT, as you see. I asked him to give me cars that are good for families, not trucks, don't like trucks, sorry, and not very sporty cars, because I knew quite a few that will give me the results that I didn't want. And no, I'm not very smart, it's just that starting, it gave me all trucks. And I really didn't want to drive a truck, so I started improving, and that's something that you anyway have to learn for everything that you do. The way that you ask things is the quality that you are going to get in the results. And I'm pretty sure that you have seen or heard that commonly known issue. It's fixed now in ChatGPT, so don't try, where they were asking if Mary has 3 sons, John, Paul, and Jack, and I am Maria, what's the name of the 4th child? Which ChatGPT initially could not answer. Do you know why? You don't know the order of the children. But if you say, what's the name of the other child, it would give you the name. It's the way that you ask that will lead you to a right or wrong answer. And it will always be. It's not smart, it's really capable, however. So if you know how to ask, you will get a good answer. If you don't know how to ask, or you don't make very specific your question, you will end up with worse results than not using it. So since we started our story with setting up the model, and I got the profiles of the cars, these are the profiles that we are actually going to use. Why do I need profiles? I need profiles to help me pairwise compare in a consistent manner. So if I have the profiles of my alternatives, whatever are the alternatives, then I can kind of read the profile and see how I should answer the question. Do I always need the profile? Even if I know very well the field, having a profile is like having the main point for a talk that you want to give. It helps you to keep track of what you're saying and that keep yourself consistent. And here, just a tip. I'm sure that you have used and know what is a large language model, but that's what the ChatGPT and Gemini are. So remember, they are not that smart. They are advanced AI systems, mostly because they can generate information, which technically is something that you have to be careful about, because generated information can be true or not. Given that in the training sets, obviously there were also information that is not true. For example, when you were posting something on Facebook saying that yellow is the best color in the world, a machine read it. And of course, hopefully somebody else said that yellow is not the best color in the world, but that information sticks. It's part of the weights. Everything that is out there, even the incorrect opinions, are part of the information that they have. So you have to always use it to help you search, not use it to help you learn. How ChatGPT would likely approach a question like, what are the best decision factors when choosing a car? It would try to understand what do you mean with that question. So that's the first step. And that's the, let's say, very important part where ChatGPT is excellent. The ability to understand the intent, to understand what you mean. Then they'll have to access knowledge. And there is general knowledge, there are past queries, there are feedback given to past queries. We don't know how much has improved in AHP ChatGPT in the last few months. correcting it again and again on the mistakes that it does. That's the way that it learns, so it makes sense. Then it will categorize the factors that you ask for in different groups based on what it appears in all the data sets that it has available. That's the process that it follows to give you the answer, to give me the answer that he asked for. And then, of course, the minimal part, so minimal, it took forever to make it do it, but generating the text that you actually did, which we don't care that much. What we care is that to structure the response, it will also get information from previous questions and answers, and the feedback. So that's the part that might not be correct. It takes time to find the incorrect and to really give negative feedback until it goes out from being used. And that's just for fun. What ChatGPT and Gemini say about themselves. You will notice that ChatGPT always likes to use more structured language and terms because that's the way that it works. And you will notice also the difference in age of data that they have. ChatGPT did not know that Gemini will be using live data when it would be available because we have a 2 years gap between the two. It looks like it's live, but it's not. And since it's not, everything that it says is a little bit older, except the feedback that it receives from the people. So, how do we use them? I would say Gemini, whenever you need to access real-time data, summarize events that are actually happening, double-check costs or prices or routes. ChatGPT, whenever you need to answer to one of my emails and you don't want to say yes, and you want to say something a little bit nicer, or when you want to improve something that you've written, preferably with your own style, because it has some tendencies of using really elaborate style. So remember to tell them what you want. You will find that, for example, you can say, I want it written in the style of Thomas Saaty. If there are publications for someone, then I can replicate the style of that someone. Now going back to our normal work for a little bit before our break. An actual AHP model gives so many tricks for getting information, but at some point I have to sit down and do the work myself, right? Goal, I want to select a card. First level of criteria, the ones that we started discussing. So cost, and when cost, I started saying cost, and then I realized that me and my husband had a little different opinion. He was talking about the down payment, and I was talking about the monthly payments. And I never thought about the resale value, but he said, what if we need to sell it? And then cost acquired the second level of criteria. So when something has perspectives, or it's hard to put everything under one label and give good pairwise comparisons, to go and add detail to it. Reliability, performance, comfort, and style. Would I have normally broken them down more? Yes. I just didn't want you to have to enter too many judgments, so I kept it as small as I could. Every time we connect all the criteria that don't have any children to the alternatives. Notice, cost not connected to the alternatives. The sub-criteria of cost are connected to the alternatives. Performance that doesn't have sub-criteria is connected to all the criteria, to all the alternatives. Why do I care about the connections? Because those connections show what will be compared with what. Let me show you how. I will compare the criteria with respect to the goal. I will compare the three perspectives of cost with respect to the cost. And then I'll compare anything that is connected to my alternatives with respect to the parent node. What do I mean compare? I'll elicit judgments, either from you if you're you the decision maker, or from a lot of people if I have a group of decision makers. First level, with respect to the goal of choosing car, what is more important to our decision factor? Is the cost more important or the reliability? What does it say there?
Reliability.
Yeah. 6 times more important is the reliability than the cost. Because I said 1/6. And you can kind of cheat if you read it from the other side. Reliability is 6 times more important than cost. With respect to cost, with respect to the goal, sorry, cost or performance? Performance 5 times more important than cost. With respect to the goal, cost or comfort and style? Cost twice more important than comfort and style. Notice that I'm not saying I'm giving you a 2, I'm saying twice. It's a ratio. So if you had cost over comfort and style, the answer would be 2. That means that we are talking about unitless numbers, which are much better for comparing stuff. How many judgments did I need to enter? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, the ones that are above the diagonal. These 2 I calculated from this one, because if performance is 1/2 of comfort and style, then I'm really saying that comfort and style is twice as important as the performance of the car. Could I involve any of the large language models in these calculations? Depends. Are you trying to find out what most people believe? Or what's your personal perspective? Who is the decision maker? If I'm trying to set up a market share model, for example, yes, I would definitely use information collected. If I'm trying to represent me or a specific person that I have here and I can ask them, no, because I really need their opinion. I don't want somebody else's opinion at that point. Make sense? So if I'm preparing an exercise for you, yeah, I would get judgments from ChatGPT because I'm just showing you. If I have to choose a car, then these opinions need to be mine. Otherwise, ChatGPT will be choosing the car for itself, and not for me. It wouldn't work, see? And what did I say? Go one step back. That I have to do pairwise comparisons for the criteria with respect to the goal, the sub-criteria with respect to the cost, and everything that is connected to the alternatives with respect to the alternatives. Let's see. What you see now is how we actually need to enter it also in our library, the thing that we're going to do after our break. Cost sub-criteria. What I'm trying to find out here, which of the sub-criteria is more important, represents more what I have in my mind as cost when I say cost. And it appears that the decision maker said that the initial cost is the most important one, with 60% of priority, followed by the monthly payment And I told you, I hadn't even thought about the resale value, and you can see it also in my judgments. Resale value really low. I didn't think that it was really important when I was buying the car. Wrong, but decision maker. A decision maker needs to be represented, not really judged about their judgments. Alternatives, reliability. What does that mean? This is the first time that you see the alternatives having something to do with our judgments, right? Well, with respect to reliability, which car is the best? Just that. Do I need to put pairwise comparison judgments? Depends. Do you want to use your perspective of what you call reliability, or do you want to use one of the many car websites that have tests and can give you information? Both correct ways of handling it. If you want to enter the objective numbers, go ahead. See if there is an entry over there. We see it in a little bit being used, direct values. That's where we put numeric values, and we don't put any judgments for that specific set. There is only one catch. If we are talking about a criterion that has a negative meaning, cost, for example, then we need to invert the numbers. So if something costs 200 and something else costs 500, usually I prefer the cheapest one, right? So I have to say 1 over 200 and 1 over 500 in order to get the priorities right. If you're trying to get a car just to show off, I guess that you can keep the price as it is because you want it pricey. It depends on the perspective of the decision maker, how you're going to call your criterion. So you see the judgments that I entered for reliability, performance, comfort, and style. Did I really go and search? No. Why? Because I wasn't someone that is going to give a very detailed opinion. So if I was going to produce this and publish it in a car's magazine, I would go and use the tests, okay? If I'm just looking to buy a car and I'm okay to have the information that is out there as my basis for the reliability, because I don't know which one is the most reliable, so I cannot enter correctly the judgments, then I would use, they did use for the reliability and the performance, information, ChatGPT. Why not Gemini? Well, first of all, this is a personal perspective and preference. I was using cars that have been out there for a long time, so I felt comfortable enough to use ChatGPT in entering the judgments. And probably you noticed while I was showing you the first step, how I extracted that information as well. And you see that over here, not sharing, yes, that better. And I have this example for you just because I want you to be able to use your tools. However, you have to remember that this cute tool needs training. And if you want to use it, you need to train it correctly. I asked for the first set of judgments, the ones that you saw me using and displaying a few seconds ago. And at some point, I realized that it was giving to cost all the importance, which was not correct or compliant with what I received when I had the profiles. And then I realized that it didn't have this piece of information. That if A is more important than B, then you will use a number from 1 to 9. And if B is more important than A, then you have to give me the inverted number. And after giving that information, we finally got the values that you saw me using on the table. That's the cross-checking and learn how to ask for what you want. You have to be able to understand that over there, there's no way that reliability was 6 times more important than comfort in any family car ever. We're talking about 6 times, not 2 or 3. I wouldn't notice a 2 or a 3. And in normal situations, I would say that I would continue the training. I usually do, meaning I don't like using the limits in my scale. Why? Because mathematically it will lead me to inconsistencies. So I would give that information too. Please use mostly between 2 and 5 when possible. In that case, we would get, and yeah, sorry, I say please to my ChatGPT. What can we do? I don't know if you have ever done it, but I do. What do we do when we have actual numbers? Okay, that's enough with AI support. These are real prices, and I can find them, and I did find them. I will not put the initial cost as an estimated number. That's something that very clearly I can find. But you see it over there. The numbers that I entered are the inverted values. For the reason that we just said, cost has a negative meaning. The most costly car should be the one that gets the lowest priority. And for that reason, instead of putting the 39,000 in the price, I put 1 over 39. If I put those numbers, then the priority would go to Toyota Highlander. That is the most expensive. I don't want to give it the highest priority. It's expensive. It should get the lowest priority. Same thing with the monthly payments. Now, at this point, and I didn't remove it, but what you realize and I realize is that if the initial price is the highest for any of these cars, then the monthly payment will go accordingly. So there was no real reason having both of them. That means that if we were still testing this model, I would go and scrap this criteria. Why spend time for something that is not helping me? When I was setting up the model, I hadn't realized yet that the price and the monthly payment would be exactly the same priority. I mean, different numbers, but the same priority. So I didn't need it. Resale value, however, it's not exactly related to the price. It has to do with the brand, the way that will be used, whether it will be outside or inside, if you have a garage or not. So the resale value would remain. And it's mostly a good thing to do pairwise comparisons for that instead of add the numbers. Because the numbers change frequently. The perspective of, for example, that Honda is usually a car that you can easily sell back whenever you need because it's high in demand. It's something that you have to put as a qualitative set of data. How do we get the results? Just for you to know. You will not need to do it, but we multiply. Let's see, what with what? This over here, you have the priorities that you calculated for each of the factors. What do I mean? Let's go back a second. These numbers that I got from here, these are the priorities. The other numbers that you see are these priorities under reliability, performance, comfort, etc. And you see them coming here. This is the reliability priority vector. This is the performance.
That's how I combine them. I put them all together in a matrix, and I multiply the two. How do I know which ones with which ones? These are the criteria. These are the with respect to alternatives part. So these are all the comparisons that were bottom level, connected with the bottom level with the alternatives. These are all the ones that were anywhere else but the bottom level of the connection. So this is the perspective of the criteria, the decision factors that I had. And this is how each of these alternatives performs with respect to a specific criterion that I had there. Now you might notice that something is missing there. The main cost is not there, because I never pairwise compared cost with alternatives. I compared only its sub-criteria. That's why you didn't see in my final results the cost coming up. Did I use it somewhere? I used it to find these numbers. Look at these numbers. Let's just keep an eye on the 0.33, that is the initial cost, okay? If you go a few steps back in the cost sub-criteria, you can see that it's not 0.33, right? I said that I use these priorities. Why I'm not using these priorities? Not cheating, I think. When I calculate these cost sub-criteria priorities, I will weight them with a number that I get from cost, their parent node. So what priority you gave to the cost will be pushed down to the sub-criteria. So if I had to show you, you would see that I multiplied essentially the weight that the cost received with the inside priorities of each of these three smaller numbers. Now still, it's about getting the idea. The cost shared this priority to its children. That's what happened. We don't really need to do it manually, but it's good to know why we got that number and not another number in our results. Make sense? All right. And when you have results, you also have. Did we have results? Did you notice it? The results are the bottom line. By the way, just so you know, I don't like the Toyota Highlander and I don't like the results. But the results say that I should go for the Toyota Highlander with my second best option, the Honda Odyssey. And the last one, I receiving instructions to include it there, but it's the third one. So we're happy. We're not getting that one for sure. So these are the priorities. 45% goes to the Toyota Highlander. So that's your best option based on the judgment of better. Second option should be 29% with Honda Odyssey, and the last one, 26%. Does it make sense? First of all, it has to make sense for your decision maker, not for you. It might be completely wrong. Unless you have entered your judgments, this result doesn't reflect your perspective. Not even your whether a price is high or low, or whether comfort is something that you care about or not. But before using these results, let's make sure that the model is robust. That means that if the day that I was entering the judgments, I didn't have my coffee yet, and I was putting just numbers a little bit randomly, you will be able to see it here. It won't be a robust model. For small changes of the judgments, you will see the results changing. And by changing, I don't mean by a little, but I mean the first option becoming second, or the second becoming third. Well, less important, but still important, that one too. How do I know, or how do I find out?
This is the priority of the criterion that you see named over there, okay? Cost. While cost gets a priority from 0 to 1, you see how the alternatives ranking change. Blue is the Toyota, yellow is the Honda, and Subaru is the third one, green. With the arrows, I'll mark the cross points. So the points that there is some kind of rank reversal. My first question is if I see the first option becoming second at any point of time. It seems so at this point over here. When the priority is about 0.3. That's good or bad? Let's see. Let's see means. Go back. What's the actual priority? Of course.
Go one more back because you don't have it here for cost specifically. The actual priority of cost is 0.2.
The rank reversal that you see happens when the priority of cost goes up to 0.8. You take 20% of the priority for cost, and the change happens when the priority of cost becomes 80%. That's a huge change, right? It's not a small change that interferes with my model. It's kind of changing all the values in the model in order to go from 20 to 80%. So I would deem the model robust because the rank reversal happens far away from the actual priority of the cost. That's why I went back to see how much was the priority of cost. And I do the same with reliability. I see a rank reversal, minor rank reversal. It's between the second and the third place. However,
it happens at around, shall we say, 15%, because I'm not looking 16%. Well, actual priority for reliability, 26.5%. So we're talking about 10 points over.
Not perfect, but quite good. First of all, because the rank reversal happens between the second and the third option, not the first and the second, that would change kind of my plans. And secondly, because it's 10% away. I have to change all my judgments related to reliability by 10% in order to have a different result.
Not so bad, or not as bad as it would look at the beginning. Performance.
That's a nice one. No matter what you do, Toyota is much better with respect to performance than the other two. There is nothing that the performance can affect the final result. Performance cannot affect the final results for the first one. Comfort and style cannot affect the results, and now reliability as well. In other words, only the cost can make the first option become second at some point. Why? There are two cases that we are going to check. Either Toyota outperforms the other two by a lot in all the domains, or these three criteria have very small weight compared to that one.
And I know, and I can know and add that to my analysis by looking back
and seeing the priorities. Well, performance, I would say, is case number 2. Performance has very low priority no matter what you see in the performance, it cannot affect the final result. Poor performance has less than 0.07 is the priority that we gave to performance. Sorry, I didn't think about performance. Comfort and style, 0.15. Not exactly the highest number, but not completely irrelevant. So comfort and style for this decision maker, Toyota was much better than the other two with respect to comfort and style. It's not true. 50% the priority is Toyota, 30% the second one. That was true. So what we were seeing in the graph was also reflected with in our numbers. And reliability. Reliability has a pretty good weight. So again, I should see that Toyota is much better than the other two with respect to reliability, which is the case. So yes.
And like all the points on the second table must add up to 1.
Yes. Yes, that's correct.
And you, yes?
Sorry. So when you're talking about cost, are you taking initial cost and the resale value together, or just the cost?
Very good question. I don't have the number
right now to show you. However,
The priority of the cost that we got
from this table will be multiplied with the priorities
that you get from this table, these three numbers. So instead of 0.59,
you see over here. Yes. I was just looking for that Excel and I didn't have it right now available, but I can show you. Now, in the graph, and oh my goodness,
I don't think that I could notice it.
but you did, well done. In the graph, we're talking about the big cost. Why? Because I chose to generate the sensitivity analysis for the main cost. If you are inside the tool and you will be, you could choose either to show this or the other three or all of them, cost and the other three. I thought that it was kind of, quote, fair to have all the ones that belong to the same level to see how they get affected, but that's it.
Excellent. Very well caught.